Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am Sheridan with Christians Do Yoga, and today I am bringing you a wrist stretch for all wrists. So, whether your wrists are tight, whether you have mobility issues, or whether you just want to begin to strengthen your wrist and forearms, this video is exactly for you. So, whenever you're ready, feel free to meet me in a comfortable seated position. See you there. All right, guys, so today I'm going to be talking to you about wrist stretches. Oftentimes, we kind of stick to the basic wrist stretches whenever we are in a yoga practice or whether we're sitting at our desk or even at home. Oftentimes, people will even start to begin to maybe lose wrist mobility. So, this is just for anybody that is looking to really lengthen and stretch their wrist and maybe even begin to strengthen their wrists for maybe arm balances or down dog, plank pose, any one of those postures that really include the flexion of the wrist. So today I'm going to take you through more of the obvious postures and stretches that we lean towards in a yoga practice. I'm also going to begin to stem away into some different stretches that you can do, maybe ones that you haven't heard of. So we're going to begin to get started today just with some wrist rolls. You can do this by just making your hands into really tight fist, and you can just begin to roll out your wrist. This is something that you can do while sitting at a desk. This is also something that you can do sitting in the car. Just beginning to make little circles with the wrists will begin to help release tension. You also will begin to notice any type of areas of tension when you do this. Maybe whenever you go down, you feel the tops of the wrists, maybe feeling a little bit of tension. Maybe whenever you go up, you feel the interior of the wrist begin to feel tension. So just take a few moments to roll out the wrist. You can also take one palm if you'd like. You can grab hold onto the opposite wrist to make circles here, and also vice versa, taking the right palm, grabbing hold of the left to make circles here as well. So maybe take about a minute or two for both wrists. And then we're going to begin to send our hands at heart center. So when the hands come to heart center in prayer, you'll notice this pose. We do this so often in yoga. I want you to begin to press your hands together, spread the fingertips wide. As we're here, I want you to make sure the wrists are aligned. So sit up tall, press into the hands. So as you inhale, you'll begin to press the hands together. Maybe engage to the fingertips, a slight bend into the knuckles. So you'll press as you inhale. As you exhale, maybe you find a sense of release. So you'll notice that my knuckles begin to release. Maybe the hands kind of come slightly apart. As you inhale, you'll press the wrist together. As you exhale, you can begin to release the wrist. So maybe you do this about 10 to 15 times, inhaling, exhaling. And then whenever you're done with your 15 rounds of presses, I want you to begin to flip the fingers down. We're going to take the tops of the wrist and then begin to press them together. So almost as like a flipped prayer. So as you're here, you can begin to draw the wrist away from the chest, flipping the hands down. Try to maybe touch the thumbs and the pinkies. So as we're here, we're pressing, elbows are aligned with each other. Once again, you can stay here for about 4 to 5 breaths, beginning to really press into the wrist. Just a very different switch of wrist here. So whenever we are pressing our hands together in prayer, we are stretching the interior wrist. Now we are stretching the tops of our wrist. So I'm going to take 2 more breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. 1 more breath. After those 2 breaths, you can just kind of shake out the wrist. You can come into more wrist rolls if that feels good for you. And then from here, we're going to begin to come into a thumb stretch. So with our palms facing up, thumb comes in towards the middle of the hand. We're going to wrap all 4 fingers around the thumb. So once we're here, we're going to begin to stick our thumbs out, almost as if I was giving you a thumbs up, thumbs in, wrap the 4 fingers around. So you're going to find your shoulder blades beginning to separate here. Imagine that you're trying to touch the opposite wall. Once you're here, you're going to begin to tilt the fingertips in towards each other. You're going to begin to stretch the tops of the wrist all the way towards the middle finger. So you'll stay here for about 3 to 4 breaths. And you're going to begin to really feel the forearm stretch as well. And then from here, you're going to begin to turn externally, opening up through the palms, pressing the palms forward. So you can stay here as long as you like, stretching the wrist out and in. maybe about 3 to 4 breaths. After you're done with that, begin to release the hands in towards the lap. You can roll out the shoulders. You may even notice that the forearms feel just a little bit more open now. So, if you are somebody that is a desk worker or somebody that is always sitting, but you have something flat in front of you, an exercise that I like to do while sitting at a desk for my wrist is while I'm sitting, I'll take my hands down underneath the desk and I'll kind of press into the top of the desk or to the bottom of the desk. So you're actually getting this whole engagement of the forearm, the wrist, all the way down into the fingertips with the fingertips engaged. So imagining that you're trying to lift the desk away from the floor, it's going to be a really great forearm stretch. It's also going to be a wonderful wrist stretch for you. Another one that you can do is if you have a lacrosse ball or any type of tough ball, you can take the ball down onto the desk or to the floor, and you can begin to roll out your wrist. Now, I don't have a ball today, but being able to send the ball towards the bottom of the wrist, rolling down the forearm, and up towards the center of the hand. You can even rub out the palm too. You'll notice some tension areas there as well. So feel free to do those target point areas with the lacrosse ball. Another stretch that you can do is you can take your opposite hand with the palm spread really nice and wide. You can take your thumb and then your pointer finger. You can actually begin to just massage out any tension area in between the fingertips. Now, one of my most tension held areas is in between my pointer finger and thumb. So, just being able to rub out any tension that's residing there. You can rub in between the fingertips. You can even flip the palm over and rub the center of the palm out, as well as the wrist. So, just being able to give your wrist extra love is so crucial because in yoga, we are always on our wrist. So, being able to just rub out those tension areas and pinpoint those areas will definitely help you notice a sense of release, especially if you have problems with wrist mobility. So, you can take a few moments to do both wrists, rubbing them out fully. Once again, if you have that lacrosse ball, you can roll it back and forth along the hands. Awesome. So after those, we're going to begin to reach our palms forward and you're going to turn the fingertips down. So you have seen this stretch before, but oftentimes you see people and you'll just begin to pull onto the fingertips. So from here, you are getting a great wrist stretch, but for a deeper wrist stretch, I want you to take your pointer finger and then middle finger. You're going to grab your hand around those two fingers and you're going to begin to pull them back. You're going to get an even deeper wrist stretch by taking these two fingers back. Now, with the other fingers just being able to relax, you're able to pull a little bit more than trying to pull all the fingertips back. So once you pull that back, take a moment to roll the shoulder blades down. Maybe take about 4 to 5 breaths. But you'll notice that I have energy pressing out of the wrist as I'm pulling back. And whatever stretch you do to one side of the wrist, make sure that you do it to the opposite wrist as well. So take about 4 to 5 breaths doing both sides. Pointer finger and middle finger pressing back. Just allow the opposite finger, the fingers that are not being pulled back, to just kind of release, to find relaxation there. Find 2 more breaths. Awesome. After those 2 breaths, once again, you can roll out the wrist side to side, make some circles with the wrist. You can even kind of shake out your wrist like this, almost as if you smashed your finger. You're just kind of shaking it out. Awesome. And whenever you are ready, we will meet on hands and knees, tabletop pose. So meet me there. So as you come into tabletop pose, shoulders over wrists, knees underneath the hips, go ahead and untuck through your toes. So once again, we're going to come right back into those wrist stretches. So with the shoulder stacked over the wrist, we are going to begin to take the right hand and we're going to try to slide it underneath only the left fingertips. So as we're here, the left wrist is pressing down and into the floor. Right palm slides underneath the left fingertips. And then from here, it's going to begin to pull back. So as you pull back, you'll notice that pressure beginning to drain towards the wrist. But the pressure actually makes for a little bit of a more wrist release. So we're really getting that nice stretch all the way from the elbow down towards the base of the hand. Once again, after you're done doing that, make sure you plant down to the right hand and then do it on the opposite side. So slide the fingertips underneath the opposite fingertips. You can keep the thumb down if that feels good, if you like a little bit of extra rooting sensation. Also helps with balance too. So you have the option to stay here for a few breaths. If you'd like, you can always take the thumb as well, but try to find energy pressing out of the palm of the hand down as you pull the fingertips back. And find about 2 to 3 more breaths here. All right, now after both of those are complete, I just want you to begin to press yourself forward and back. Just noticing kind of that sense of release as you press your hip bones back. It's always good to kind of take a break in between wrist stretches. Just being able to kind of release any tension that's being held on the wrist. You can always make your way up onto your fingertips. Maybe just finding a little bit of energy there for a few breaths. Then after you're done with those few breaths, begin to make your way up onto hands and knees. Turn the fingertips outwards to the sides of your mat. As you turn the fingertips outwards, I want you to begin to send your awareness towards your thumb and your pinky. So imagine that you're trying to grip down to the thumb and the pinky. Once the thumb and the pinky begin to grip, you'll notice that the rest of the fingertips follow. You'll begin to drain your weight to the middle and then also to the pointer finger and index finger. So once you're here, grip down to the fingertips, begin to sway yourself side to side. And just notice that weight distribution from the left to the right hand. You can also incorporate a little bit of a lift. So maybe you lift up onto the left fingertips as you come to the right for a few breaths. So come back through center over to the left. Maybe come up onto the right fingertips, completely optional. From here, begin to turn your fingertips in towards the knees. So this again is optional, and this is a very deep wrist stretch here. So if it is optional to be able to come here, most people can come into this position. If you can't, feel free to just stay swaying side to side. If you can, grip down to the fingertips and then try to send your weight back just slightly. So as you send the weight back, you'll notice that really nice forearm stretch and wrist stretch. Take a few deep breaths in through your nose, maybe out through the mouth or nose. As you exhale, begin to unwind. Take your time to press back onto your heels, interlock your fingertips. You can take a few circles, a figure 8 rolls with the hands. So just releasing, once again, that pressure that we built up in the wrist. Also, something that I like to do is taking the thumbs together. You can actually roll out any tension that's being held in the thumbs by just making little circles with the outsides of the palms. So we'll meet in hero's pose onto the shins. Go ahead and bring your hands to heart center, fingertips interlocked. So go ahead, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. As you exhale, press your palms forward. Draw the chin into the chest as you round your spine. So you're stretching through your wrist here. On your inhale, reach your palms up. Press through the hands and the fingertips and the center of your palms. As you exhale, send your hands back down to heart center interlocked. Inhale. Exhale, palms forward, chin to chest. Find pressure out of the palms. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, palms forward. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, hands to heart. So that's something that you can continuously do if you'd like to stay here for a few moments. You can move with your breath there. That is also something that you can take off of your mat. So say you are somebody that sits at a desk for a while, you can begin to incorporate that wrist stretch maybe during your break, or if you're just beginning to feel wrist tension in the wrist, you can also incorporate that little bit of movement connected with your breath. So from here, we're going to begin to come into a fun pose, and it is called guerilla posture. This is something a little bit more advanced. So you can also do this sitting down or standing up. I will show you the standing up version. So if you are on your mat, you can always come to the front of your mat. And if you're seated down, you can just begin to bring the bottoms of the feet onto the floor. So with a heavy bent knee, begin to reach your heart forward, heavy forward fold. So the heavier you forward fold, the heavier bend into your knees, the easier it will be to slide your palms underneath your feet. So lift the toes, drain your weight to your right foot, and then slide the left hand underneath the left foot. So as you're here, begin to slowly apply pressure onto the fingertips, onto the toes, pressing your fingertips forward. I'm actually going to pause here for a second because I have my ring on and I'm going to actually take it off. So make sure your hands are bare. Slide the palm underneath the foot. And then from here, begin to drain your toes towards the wrist. So with a heavy bend into the knee, you can begin to incorporate that weight forward. Maybe you can lift the left heel, just applying a little bit of pressure. It almost just feels kind of like a massage for the wrist. And then you can send the weight back into the heel, lifting the toes, taking off some of that pressure. And then once again, send it forward, maybe lift the left heel. And back down, maybe lift the left toes. Making your right palm slide underneath your right hand. You can do this with both at the same time. If you'd like, you can do one side and then the other. But maybe just draining your weight forward. You can lift the heels. You can drain the weight back, lift the toes. So maybe doing this for about 3 to 4 breaths. Once again, you can do this sitting down or standing up. Begin to slide the palms out from underneath the toes. You can inhale, roll up to standing, palms reach up. And exhale, hands to heart. So my last and final stretch for you guys is reverse prayer. So we've already done the hands out, heart center. We've done the flipped prayer. We can also have reverse prayer. So reverse prayer is taking the palms behind the back. So as we come behind the back, maybe you can just touch fingertips. And if you're just touching fingertips, that is perfectly fine. The goal here is to find pressure out of the center of the palms to eventually be able to touch the palms and the wrists towards each other. So even if you're here, take a deep breath in through your nose. As you exhale, try to find that little extra push through the elbows, the protraction through the shoulder blades to draw inwards. So allow that to be a challenge for you. If you can't touch your wrists together behind your back, maybe you can touch fingertips, slowly working on drawing the wrists together. Now, once you're here and you find that limit of mobility into the wrist, take a few moments, close your eyes, breathe, and maybe just notice that tension slowly melting away into the wrist. And once again, this is just an option. You can always just stay here for a few breaths, wrists separate, and breathe. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I totally recommend you guys doing these wrist stretches about 2 to 3 times a week. Once again, these are wrist stretches that you can take elsewhere, whether you are at work, whether you're waiting in the car. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, please give us a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and we will see you guys soon in our next video. Bye.
So you've rolled up your mat and you've taken care of your body, but are you taking care of your mind and your heart? In a season where I found myself completely overwhelmed and anxious with day-to-day life, I recognized that something was missing. And that something was daily routine and self-care and love. So over the next few months, I began to build new habits, a new routine, and some consistency that really brought life back into my heart, into my mind, and into my body. And I want to share that with you. Head on over to dailysoulcare.com and grab your free copy today.